Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Hello.
Right. Thanks for joining the SGU Wednesday live stream. You'll notice a new addition this week.
Oh. Who's that?
We have a third Novella brother joining us.
It's January, too.
Oh,
It is January.
It's been January for the last couple weeks.
That's right. We're just making sure people are informed.
Oh, so you're right.
Don't want them to be
Keep them.
uncomfortable, like not understanding what's happening.
What's going on?
What's going
And
on?
TikTok is still exists in
TikTok
America.
is back, baby.
Well, there was a death
There was a slight,
and a very quick resurrection.
Yes.
Which proves that there's an afterlife.
It's true. It was like 12 hours, maybe less
They
than
should have
that.
waited 3 days.
waited.
That TikTok could have been Jesus.
Now
But
Trump
no,
is Jesus.
they blew it.
Now Trump is our savior.
And did you see the message that came out when it came back to life?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trump.
Thank you, Trump.
It was, basically, thanks to Trump's, I have a actually screen grab of it somewhere, but thanks to Trump's efforts, TikTok is averted. Although it was a lot of, I watched it die, which was fun, to see the servers shut down. It was shut down like an hour earlier than they said they were going to shut it down, like at 11.
Right, and they were not forced to do that.
They were not forced to do
chose
that.
to do that.
They did
Really?
as a
It's
stunt.
all a stunt.
It was a stunt.
Yeah.
To show it off. Although now the app is still not available in the stores because the law specifically targets Apple and Google with like a $5,000 fine per user that downloads it.
That's a lot.
Which is a lot if you think 170 million people were using it, or at least users on the
How long was
app.
it down?
Like 12 hours.
12 hours.
It was like nothing.
So I would think that the tech guys would have been kind of psyched because to have all the machines down, they could have done some maintenance on them.
Maybe they just did-
That's
just
a
do
rare
maintenance.
opportunity
That's
to
true.
have them all down. I would have been psyched
like
when
had
I was.
an air blower and
when
just
I was
get
pushing
all the
code,
dust.
yeah.
That's true.
It's funny. It was like probably around 10 o'clock. I stumbled on a video on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to come back and watch this.
Yeah.
Come back.
Oops.
I'm like, oh, shit, I
There's
forgot.
no TikTok.
I forgot. But I had a lot of thoughts when it was canceled.
Yeah.
I'm like, at first I'm like,
You and your
I catch myself going there a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna care at all about that.
I kind of felt sad for the people who like have businesses on there. There's like
Mhm.
7 million businesses apparently.
Oh my God, 7 million.
Yeah, and it's like $11 billion a year or something like that. So a lot of people were potentially losing their income. And I don't know. I mean, it's harmed by the fact that nobody can really download it. Although you can still visit it on the web.
Yeah.
So there is that. And for anybody who was trying to use NordVPN on Sunday, it was not working. At least I was one person.
Because everyone was trying to use
Because
it.
everyone was trying to use it.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. So it's a weird, it's a weird world. Now it's just seems like it might be Trump propaganda machine. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
I mean,
see how that's going to handle.
That's why you gotta be careful with how you digest the news moving
Yeah.
forward, because there's going to be a lot of arm waving and
Yeah.
and bragging and all that stuff, which nobody wants to hear. It was interesting to see people make excuses for Elon Musk's hand gesture.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
So
We're going to go
Segue
right to that.
well, I mean, it's
Wait, let's do the topics first. Hold on. Welcome, everybody. It's
First
Wednesday.
topic is Sig Heil.
No. Wait.
Heil.
See? It is Wednesday, the 22nd of January. TikTok unban. We're going to talk about the Stargate project. Red Dye 3.
Oh, boy.
Somebody released an article about that.
so
Here's
scared.
Bob, by the way, and then some TikToks. And there's some other stuff that we'll talk about, but just to keep people up to date with our thoughts.
all right. So
Anyways, let me move it.
somebody
Oh, there
who
we
was
go.
being wildly watched across the United States and the globe, somebody
Yeah.
well known, makes a hand gesture that is exactly like something that is in history as a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Probably the worst hand or arm gesture I could think of.
Yeah.
Far
So-
worse than a flipping the bird.
It's worse than flipping the bird.
So
sure.
question number one is, did he know what he actually did or was
How
doing?
could you not
Okay,
know?
I'm just asking questions. You don't have to get angry.
How could you not know
No, he
It's
knew.
so
what this
clear.
means?
He knew.
Don't do it on the thing.
Steve, cut that
He's
out.
waving.
Ian. Edit that out.
Hold on. Where's the go to
That's
the end?
delete.
End
that's the
screen there.
first
End
question.
up. We're over it.
That's the first question, though. I think we're
Okay,
just
sure,
gonna go
we
through
can
the motions
ask
here.
it.
Did he know? Yes, of course. I think anybody in the modern
yeah.
age would know. I asked my 12-year-old son, and he knew what the hell it was.
It's so baked into the culture.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he knew what he was doing.
And then
You know.
you could ask, was it just like he was trying to do something else and it came out wrong? But then he
did it
did
twice.
it again.
Did it
He
again.
like did it again,
Right. Apparently, he did it 3 times.
removing all
But
doubt
twice.
that
Yeah.
he
He did at least twice.
absolutely meant to do that specific gesture.
Then watching both sides of the extreme.
yeah.
Watching the right scramble to make excuses for him doing that, which is pathetic, and then watching the uber liberals lose their shit. It's like, what do you expect? You know what I mean? Like we're going to see crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's all basically for effect. It's like he did that because he wanted to basically say, in my opinion, he wanted to say F you to people watching who knew
Yeah.
they'd get upset about it. He wanted the stir.
Yeah.
Right?
Jay,
That's classic trolling,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is what Trump has been doing.
Jay,
for
you
the
say,
last
what
8
did you
years.
expect? I expect a lot of crazy shit. I expect it. Bring it. But that I did not.
That would
think
not have been on my bingo card.
I was like, wait, that's just beyond stupid.
To visually
So
do it.
I was surprised that he would actually do that. I mean, maybe in a few
Yeah.
years it'll be more accepted, but now,
a few years, it'll be commonplace. But it's interesting to look at because to me, we're watching this slow motion, whatever. Some people would call it a train wreck. Some people would call it other things. We're watching this all happen right in front of us in relative slow motion, in the sense that we're expecting it. I wasn't surprised when he did it. I literally, my response to seeing him do that was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, because it's performance. It's all performance. There's nothing real behind any of it. Do you think that he's a hidden Nazi sympathizer? No, he did that to make people either like him more or
Well,
like him less.
This is part of
the
the problem with the Trump era, right? Is that this is, I think, it's a deliberate strategy. I mean, they've said it's a deliberate strategy. You basically flood the zone with, provocations, with nonsense, and then you get people talking about all of that. So at first, it's a classic trolling. You say something deliberately intended to get people upset, then you point out how upset they are, right? And then you make fun of them for being upset.
Yeah.
Right. And even though a reasonable person would be upset at what was said or what was done, and it's they just do it to shatter any kind of norms, any kind of expectations.
Yeah, of course.
And that way, then they could throw in the stuff they actually care about, and
Yes.
it gets lost in the noise, and it
Oh,
gets
yeah.
lost in the outrage. Then you get outrage fatigue. Then
Yep.
it's like, okay, we're doing this horrible thing. It's like, okay, whatever. Like you said, 100 horrible things. How do I get upset about this? Like, you know what I mean?
Some people in the chat are saying he's a Nazi. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to confirm or deny that.
Well, I mean, some of the things he's said and done over the past years kind of leans in that direction.
Yeah,
so
understood.
You can see,
Understood.
You don't have to have him do goose step to know what
Yeah,
he thinks
exactly.
as
I
well.
mean-
He talks about it.
Silex said they're going to be releasing the Tesla SS Model SS soon.
yes,
I was pulling that up, Silac. You
Yeah.
ruined the joke.
I think
Classic.
the only way I'd buy a Tesla is if it was decorated either as a stormtrooper or Darth Vader. Then I'd consider it. Yeah, Steve. So how's it feel to own a car by this bad guy?
You know.
You know?
There's a funny bumper sticker going around.
I know, it's been around for years.
What is it?
I bought
Did you
this before I realized he was crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
We've had ours for 5 years. I think that puts me in the safe zone.
Oh yeah, you're in the safe zone.
Yeah.
We're in the safe zone. That was
Yep.
that was Cars and Mars Musk,
He was hidden secret, crazy.
not Sieg Heil Musk.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
You know, like
It's all going.
I still remember like him doing like when he put that car into orbit, right? He puts that car up with the spaceman and everything. And I looked at that and I'm like, yeah, this is a massive stunt, but it's pretty cool. All right, yeah, that's
Yeah.
him saying, hey, I've got the ability to put cars in orbit. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
I
no,
understood
that was
it.
cool. That was
And I missed,
I loved
I
it.
missed that version of who I know that
what we thought he
the
was,
one
that
he thought he
illusion,
was. I
yeah.
missed that.
there's the new model. SS.
right there it is.
All right. Anyway.
oh wow.
Yeah, I want.
You said it too fast.
I wanted
Silac.
him to be the eccentric billionaire who is starting interesting and noteworthy companies.
kind of like Stark, right? That was the comparison.
Yeah, but this
Early
guy,
on.
this guy who he is, it just blows my mind.
Well, maybe they'll send him to Mars. That would be nice.
It's,
You know what I mean?
it's
That
so
might-
weird and disappointing. I think those two words describe all of this perfectly for me. It's all
but there's
weird,
it's not
all
just Musk.
disappointing.
There's a subset of the tech industry that has gone over, to the right wing.
oh my God.
And they justify themselves. There's a good interview with one of them in one of the, either it was a New York Times or the Washington Post. And my God, the self-serving revisionist history nonsense was just incredible. It's like basically their
That the
premise
tech
is,
billionaires
listen,
were saying?
yeah, this is the tech billionaires. We're good guys. We just want to put out useful things for people, and we need the government to get out of our way. So we were for the Democrats when they were pro in our industry, and now we're then they started to talking about regulating us. Screw that. So now we're all in on
Ooh.
Trump because he's a crypto bro with us.
Yeah.
They don't want any regulation of crypto coin, of AI, of social media.
Yeah.
None of it. We should just rely on the fact that they're inherently good people.
Oh yeah.
And that have the public's best interest at heart. And if it weren't for those radical liberals trying to regulate them, they wouldn't have gone over to Trump. It was such a massive pile of horseshit.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. But that's what they're telling themselves. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, because in the end, we've seen throughout history, making money and the power that it brings, that's the goal. This idea with I shouldn't speak about companies in other parts of the world, but I would imagine it's all very similar. But like in the United States, like big companies have like this expectation that they have to continue to increase the amount of money that they make.
Yeah.
Right? And we've talked about this before. So I used to work for a company that, they probably made a few $100 million a year. It was a good chunk of change. And it's like they were so desperate to increase their income. And I remember thinking to myself, this is the setup now. You have like a board of directors and you have investors or whatever, and like that's the model that we have developed as human beings. But why does it have to be that way? Why can't that company be like, hey, this year we made $275 million, next year they might make $350 million? Like, why does it always have to be like growth? Because that is dangerous. Not only does it
Yeah.
make companies do things that
Well, there was a good interview on Jon Stewart this week where with a person who's an expert in this sort of thing. So this is fundamentally different what we're seeing now from, say, the Gilded Age, right? Where then the billionaires just wanted to be left alone to make money, right? And they knew that they had to do some philanthropy so that there wouldn't be too much of a revolution. But now they don't want to just make money; they want to actually have access to the government. They're like much farther on the inside with this administration than they've really ever been before. And one of the things, again, there's so many ironies here. Like you can't even. It's so reality bending, but like this is supposed to be a populist movement, right? Populist movement. So people are upset that the working man isn't getting a fair shake, and that the system is rigged against them,
and eggs cost
too much, et cetera, et cetera. So let's put a bunch of tech bro billionaires together with a con artist, and they're going to fix it. And the first thing they're going to do is they're going to give a tax break to their fellow billionaires. Then the next thing they're going to do is make up that money by raising the cost of living by putting tariffs on everyday goods. And then they're going to deport all the people who are growing our food and building our homes to help with the housing crisis.
What could go wrong?
I mean, it's like at the end of the day, because we're old enough to know like what Republican messaging and Democratic, and we were Republicans back in like the 80s, FYI, but this is like the standard Republican trickle down economics bullshit from the 80s, but have managed to do it under the mantle of populism. And I think the only way this complete level of disconnect from reality can exist is because of social media. Because of we have now this just absolute machine turning out misinformation. And there is objective evidence that misinformation is not just something that happens as an epiphenomenon, on social media. It is actually a deliberate strategy on the part of the right-wing politicians in this country. They are objectively, demonstrably, it's been studied, putting out way more misinformation and disinformation than the other side of the political spectrum. Not that there isn't any on every side, but it is not symmetrical. It is not symmetrical.
And Steve, you mentioned trickle-down economics. Do you remember what Bush Sr. referred to that as in the 80s before he joined forces with Reagan? He said he referred to it as voodoo economics.
Because it is voodoo economics.
And he was right. He was absolutely right.
It absolutely is voodoo economics. So
and what we've learned is that you don't have to be a great businessman or super smart to become a scumbag billionaire.
You don't need to like actually govern well or have good ideas. All you need to do is build a big enough disinformation machine, and you could run the country. You could take over. That's essentially what happened.
And we will hold all of you responsible who voted for him.
No. They're also...
What does that mean?
That means I am 100% holding all
No,
of them
it's not. You can't blame the voters. You got to blame the
Well, then if you don't blame
the con man.
you don't blame the people who voted
But they're
for him?
victims. They're also victims of the con.
Okay.
They fell for the populist messaging.
They fell for it. And lots of people, half the country did, and half the country
doesn't mean
didn't.
that the people who got released from prison for doing Gen 6 shouldn't
I don't
be
know,
in there.
Ian, but if you put the energy in to cast a vote,
it doesn't matter. That's nothing.
That isn't the most important energy.
No, because we need to get those. We need to get at least some of the people who are like blue collar and were duped to vote for left wing things.
Well, how about this?
You know what I mean? Like we can't.
No, I don't agree.
Can we hate the people that didn't vote? Can we hate them?
No, you can't hate them either.
I'm not saying
you can hate the Democrats.
I'm not saying hate them, but they are responsible for.
No,
for
they're not.
happened.
Trump is responsible. He is responsible.
Well,
I don't agree
both
with
are
that at
correct.
all.
Listen, everyone is responsible. Adults are responsible for the decisions that they make.
Sure.
And voting is not like a one-off sudden thing that takes you by surprise. That's something you literally have years to think about, or at the very least, you should be engaged for months. And it's a very deliberate decision. You have to, actively go out and do it. And you are absolutely responsible for that decision.
Sure.
But we don't say that they have sole responsibility or that there's no influences.
I never said sole responsibility.
If people are systematically lied to
Yeah.
and then make a bad decision,
Yeah.
we consider them victims of fraud.
I get that, but it's not hard to find out what's actually going on.
It is sometimes.
The willful ignorance and their desperation to win at something that you should never think of as winning, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the whole approach is broken, and
there's a lot of systemic things that are broken about our democracy as well, like gerrymandering. You know,
But Steve, has
Yep.
anything legit? Has anything in our skeptical
Yeah.
20 years been more goddamn obvious than this?
well, to us it is.
But the thing is, it's obvious, Steve. You have to literally
yeah, there are lots.
shut
There
your
are
eyes
there
to
are
not
lots
see what's
of
going
obvious.
on.
Homeopathy is just as obvious.
Right.
true.
So
multi-billion-dollar
again,
industry.
people that get
Yeah, right.
duped, people that get
People
duped,
get duped. And as the thing is, generally speaking, and you both have agreed with this many times over the years, we generally don't blame the victims of cons. We blame the con artists.
Yeah.
And we try not to do too much, victim blaming.
Yeah.
This is no different. This is no different. So you feel about it differently because, this
all I
it's
said was I hold
politics.
them responsible.
No, it doesn't mean you can't yell at your relatives. You can do that.
Don't
That's
yell
fine.
at your relatives. You can't yell at your
Holding
Yeah,
them
it's fine.
responsible in my head isn't me like going out and doing anything. I mean, I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to there is no, Jay's coming to get me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Right,
not
but
talking about that.
they're going to be victims to the same shit that Trump pulls. That's going to affect us as
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah,
like
right.
they're
The thing
still we got to get them on board to be like, hey,
There's-
he's a dickhead.
But I don't care what misinformation ecosystem you're in. They were exposed to some of his crazy
Yeah.
shit. They saw it. They heard him
Yeah.
say it,
And they were okay with
and
it.
they were okay with it, and they
fine.
were okay with so much. That I think they have to have some blame.
I mean,
some
Some?
portion.
I mean,
of
they might
blame.
feel
How about a
some
lot of
shame.
blame?
They might feel some shame as they see the world fall apart.
They'll have.
but
I don't think that they'll.
They'll
I
have-
think
I don't
There'll,
know.
there'll be buyer's remorse to some extent.
Yeah.
And
to
that
some
buyer's remorse might be the only joy I get the next 4 years.
but wait. Like, let's call out a few things that are likely to happen. Like the
19 years,
tariffs are
wow.
going to have a dramatic impact.
19 years.
What's Canada's ready to go? They're like poised on the button.
But do you think he's actually going to do it, or do you think there's going to be at least smart enough people to be like, no, come on?
No, I think he's
Not
going to
this
do it.
time.
Listen, Trump has tried to do everything he's promised to do.
Yeah.
The idea
Yeah.
that he's not going to try to do things, he said, I'm going to do X. He has tried it. In his first term, he was stymied, both legally and because of his own people getting in his way. But now he's prepared. He's had 4 years in between, and now he's got an infrastructure of loyalists. So he will be much more successful at doing what he wants to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Tariffs are something he absolutely can do.
That's true.
That is something. If he wants to do it, he's going to do it.
Ian, we don't live in a world where we turn our head to accountability. There is legitimate accountability to people not educating themselves in all manner,
But still,
everywhere.
you're choosing to focus on that because I think
Right.
because it emotionally makes you feel better.
I said
Jay,
that
there's
as-
many contexts in which when you're taking a societal view, you don't blame the fact that half of a population is doing something. Clearly, there's something systemic going on, right?
But you take that comment
I'm saying you are applying a different standard to this issue than we apply to other same issues but different contexts, right? And sometimes sometimes I have to pull you back from blaming the individual there as well. If someone has poor health, you can say, well, it's totally on you. It's your lifestyle factors.
But the difference-
rather than focusing on the fact that we live in a country with a food industry that makes it packs the calories into everything that we
The
eat.
difference here is if people want to
How is
harm
that
if
different?
people want to harm themselves through their ignorance, and I'm not gonna blame someone horribly for falling for a lot of these like very aggressive scams that are out there. I get that, but this
You don't think this is a very aggressive?
but
pretty
hold
aggressive.
on, let me finish for Christ's sake.
Sorry.
But this affects the entire
Of course it
population on the planet. This affects everybody.
everyone.
This affects the future of global warming. This affects the economic future of this country.
I agree.
The
So do a lot of the
security
other
this
issues that we're
country.
talking about.
No, but no.
They do.
this
They
is-
affect your insurance premiums. They affect the cost of health care. They affect safety. Blah blah blah. There are knockoff effects of all the things that we're talking about here.
Well, why don't
This is more obvious.
Yeah. Why don't we get to the executive orders that he just signed? If you guys want to.
Well,
look at that.
somebody
Go
asked
ahead,
him
if
what
you
I think
wanna-
about pulling out of the World Health Organization.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
horrible. The World Health Organization. I mean, I have a lot of beef with it. There's a lot. It politicizes issues, sometimes, but it is an absolutely necessary and critical organization.
Yeah.
Right. So, what's going to happen the next time there's a pandemic and we're not there supporting the World Health Organization, and we do provide a tremendous amount, or have been, of support for the WHO. This is the kind of critical infrastructure that is necessary to keep us safe, to prevent outbreaks from happening, et cetera.
Yeah.
But this is also the kind of thing that we may not really feel the effects for years.
Mm-hmm. I look at it like this, Steve.
Yeah.
If a bunch of people take homeopathy to get cures and they die off, right? I think that's what we're seeing here with what happened with Trump. Like, there has been a huge amount of evidence that people are dying off. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, I heard this from my friend and I'm going to go to this homeopathic doctor or whatever. Like, the information is wildly out there, right? It's available. They're seeing it and they're responding to it. I mean, the people that I argue with online, like, they're reading the information. They are responding to like my points and my questions and everything with all the lies and everything. But they are choosing not to read and educate themselves
but they think they are.
Right. Are they choosing to be duped? Clearly
they think
not.
they are. They're just they're relying on different sources.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if we live in a world where there isn't legitimate accountability, then we're in a really bad place.
That's where we are right now.
Yeah.
There isn't legitimate accountability. I agree with that. There is, there used to be a level of just baseline accountability that was informal. It was, just agreed upon norms that if any politician did something too scummy, the voters would recoil and they would resign in shame, or they would never be able to win again.
Remember monkey business?
Yeah, remember monkey business? I mean, that is gone. That is absolutely gone.
Right, but look at this,
which is very dangerous for a democracy.
The tariffs are going to increase product prices, right? Let's be pragmatic about this. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then, the first thing that's going to happen after that is that a bunch of anti-Trump people are going to complain about it, and then pro-Trump people are going to make excuses. Even though their prices have gone up, it's been predicted that the prices are going to go up, but they're still going to be like, nope. It's like, they said it's going to be temporary, blah, blah, blah. Like, Trump admitted that he can't change grocery price. It's not an easy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So grocery prices aren't going to go anywhere, as we both, or all three of us know, right? All four of us. Ian's over there.
Yeah, inflation doesn't go down.
We know that grocery prices aren't going to...
There's no...
They're likely not to go in any direction other than stay where they are or go up.
It's just a matter of how fast prices rise.
So
Right.
that's not going to happen, and they'll see it. Their grocery bill. See all
most people don't know how the economy works.
But the point is, they're going to get piece of evidence after piece of evidence after piece of evidence, and they're not going to sit in their house and go, "Shit, man! Trump said that he was going to do all this stuff, and none of it happened." Like, the cost of living isn't going to go down. The insane price of housing isn't going to go down. Like, none of these changes are going to happen. Their quality of life is not going to get better, and I dare say it's going to get worse, as we all predict.
Yeah.
And they're going to sit in that and be like, nope, it's not Trump.
Yeah.
It's not Trump.
Of course. I mean,
and Trump will blame Democrats like they've already done it. It's all Democrats' fault already. 1.5 days in office, and they're blaming Democrats for shit. It's like, wow. And they're just going to continue to do in that. And then what do we do then? What are we going to say then? Like, it's still not their fault?
No, it's just
what do you mean? But that's
it's
different.
meaning that not the right conversation. Like, assigning blame or fault or whatever is irrelevant. That's just to make you feel better, or just to vent your anger.
Unfortunately,
you want to focus on giving people critical thinking skills, educating them on how to be a savvy consumer of information,
I'm not saying
and on systemic issues like the availability of disinformation and misinformation. Just saying it's your fault for not educating something. It's your fault for not exercising.
Is that all I do, though, Steve?
You are focusing on that. You are absolutely.
You guys,
focusing
you're. Oh my God. Okay, rewind the tape. Go back and listen to what was actually.
I would say focus on the people who are doing the harm, not voters. Like, they're just schmucks.
I'm
like,
not do anything.
I know, but
the statement I made. Yes, I think that they are responsible.
Yeah.
And that they should hear that they're responsible.
Yeah, to the extent
Right.
that individual voters are, but again, I think it's just more practical to focus on the systemic issues.
Yeah.
Not just blaming individuals who are
Yeah.
caught up in the systemic issues.
We still got to be kind to people,
Jay,
but ruthless to dickheads.
Jay, if it makes you feel better, I will guarantee to you that there will be a lot of people. I don't know what the number is. There will be a lot of people in the next few years that are going to be like, "Oh shit, I should not have voted for him." Those people will be out there. They will say it. They might not say it to anyone, but they're going to be thinking it. I guarantee that. I don't know what that number is. It's probably going to be way too low. But
yeah, let's look at the executive orders if you want to look at the list of crazy that's happening. Oops, that's weird on the screen. Anyway, okay, so immigration executive orders. Mass deportations happening pretty much on day one, as he's declared. Apparently, ICE is like setting up stuff in Chicago and other big cities. National emergency, yada yada, all this like silly shit. Remain in Mexico, birthright citizenship. Which is
that's a good
That's,
one.
I mean, that's not going to happen.
That's going to have some legal
that's-
ramifications.
You'd think, right?
I mean, that's a constitutional
yeah.
amendment.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right,
because
so
the
that-
14th Amendment is actually very unambiguously clear
Mm-hmm.
on that issue.
Mm-hmm.
What's there? I mean, so that was just for show, or do they have a plan? You think behind that?
Well, if you have the Supreme Court in your back pocket, like
He wants to reinterpret the 14th Amendment.
yeah,
Well,
that's true.
listen, I do think that he's packed the Supreme Court with right-wing nut jobs. Yes, but that I don't think they would go for that, because that would wipe away even any patina of reasonableness or legitimacy that
That
they have.
patina is pretty damn thin right now.
But the thing is, I mean, the right wing judges, like, one of their go-to things is originalism and interpreting, basically being true to the word in the Constitution and not reinterpreting it. They would have to be blazingly hypocritical if they did this. So I don't think that it's worth it for them.
no, it's not worth
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Why?
it
Why?
could be.
That does sound good to certain people. It sounds powerful and the right thing to do or whatever, but that's I don't think it's going to happen.
It's probably just a nod to his crazy base.
Yeah,
more
no,
than-
Right,
no more
right.
no more windmill installation.
So yeah, let's look at the energy and environmental executive orders. National emergency drill, baby drill, rather. Uh-oh.
That's my
Okay.
problem.
All right, never mind. Okay, one order specifically targets energy production in Alaska, rescinding the former protections around the state coastal area. coastal
My
areas.
daughter's going to be pissed.
Pausing offshore wind leasing, which seems it's such a weird thing that he has this hatred of
Yeah.
windmills. It's like he just doesn't like them for some reason.
Well, I think that goes all the way back to his
Golf course, right?
misstatement about
Oh.
the fact that it's killing whales.
Killing whales
he
and
was
birds.
and he
And
was
birds,
ridiculed for that, and
Mhm.
he's such a petty SOB that he's like, then he internalizes it and says, well, windmills are bad.
I think there was also an issue his golf course in Scotland. Maybe they were forcing windmills to be put out in the ocean, and he could see them, and he didn't like it, and stems from that. I don't know. Chat, you correct us if we're wrong. So the Paris Climate Treaty.
Oh, yeah. Pulled out of that
So
again.
withdrawing from that, Trump pulled out of the pact during his first term, but Biden rejoined. But now it's back out. It takes a year to withdraw from the agreement. So I don't know. Anyway,
Does
go
it
ahead.
take a year to get back in?
I don't know. That's a good question. If it was day one, it was a day one order of his own on Biden rejoined the deal. I don't know. Let's see. Federal procurement for clean power and electric vehicles. He doesn't like electric vehicles for some reason, but Elon he likes. To restart applications, reviews LNG, liquefied natural gas export projects, which Biden had paused over climate concern. Also revoked a 2021 Biden executive order that set a goal for 50% of the U.S. vehicle sales to be electric by 2030. So that's going away. Executive order targeting DEI and transgender Americans. Obviously, these sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality. Basically said there are only two sexes. Actually, he said two genders, sorry. He didn't even just say two sexes.
Yeah, which you got that wrong.
Yeah, so he said it is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes. It says on the official documents, but I guess he just said genders.
I hope Dawkins and Jerry Coyne are happy that Trump now agrees with them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know, I heard he shut down. He basically went to all the DEI workers in government. It's like send them all home on paid leave. They're no longer working, and they're gonna just like shut down a lot of them. It's
yeah. Yeah, basically.
Well, the thing that's interesting about that is he says we're going to replace it with a merit-based system. But the thing is, DEI is a merit-based system. The whole point of it, is to be merit-based. is to try to make sure that we're weeding out any not merit-based aspects to hiring and promotion and whatever.
Imagine that.
So it's like, yeah, we agree. It should be merit-based. This is how you get it to be merit-based, by making sure that it's fair to everybody. It's like, no, I guess you only want it to be merit-based to old white guys.
right.
Yeah, clearly they have the
But again,
most
if you
merit.
assume that anyone who doesn't look like you was an affirmative action hire, a DEI hire, that's sort of a self-fulfilling, kind of thing.
Yeah. Apparently, they've started using DEIA, which includes accessibility.
Accessibility, yeah, DEI.
Oh,
which is
really?
an interesting, now they're going after
So they want
people in wheelchairs and stuff or need accessibility.
Wow. Okay.
So it's,
No, it's actually strategically a good idea.
yeah, right, for them.
Why?
No, if you support DEI, to tie it to accessibility, because that's a lot harder to go after.
That's true. Oh, that's fair. Although, I don't know. Are they? Maybe they will just be like, who gives a damn?
Ian, our ad block is up to date.
Oh, great. Does it say that? Did it pop up?
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing the chat.
Oh, that one popped up. Sorry. All right, stand by, chat. Actually, ask questions away if you can. Oh, actually, we can't see it, so never mind. Here comes the chat. There it is.
Wow.
There
Yeah. When
we
you read through this,
Mm-hmm.
it's weird because it's almost like you're reading it from a book of a story about some horrible thing that's going. It's like, yep, like the United States is not as welcoming and helpful and caring as it was 2 days ago. Boom, just like that.
Okay, equal employment opportunity order signed into by former President Lyndon B. Johnson. He revoked discriminatory and illegal preferences and policies. So that's all DEI destruction. Other executive orders: hiring freeze for federal employees. Of course, it doesn't apply to the military or immigration enforcement. Of course.
Schedule F.
Schedule F.
bad.
That's a big one. Yeah, right. Fire civil servants
the worst
deemed
one.
disloyal, which is a pretty.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty.
Deemed disloyal. Whoa.
That's a
That
very
doesn't
consequential
surprise
one.
me at all.
Wow.
That's one of his freaking pillars, man.
Yeah, that's Project.
That's Project
2025.
2025.
Yeah.
Stop right there.
This one, calling them hostages of the January 6th defendants or the people that were in jail. 1,500 of them received a pardon or a full pardon, including ones that attacked police officers. So I guess they don't really care.
And I heard him say
that.
that his quote was that he, how did he put it? That he looked at these people and he thought that their jail sentences were excessive, and the ones that they looked at really seemed to love this country, so they're pardoned. That's it. That's it.
Loving the country is loving him, I think, is a direct.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
here's
sure there's a lot of murderers out there that loved the country
Yeah.
too.
Whoa.
Here it is. Pulling out of WHO, COVID and drug costs. Monday's order said that U.S. will withdraw due to the organization's mishandling of the COVID pandemic and other global health crises. Its failure to adopt urgently needed reforms and its inability to demonstrate the independence from the inappropriate political influence of WHO member states. WHO member states, rather.
Hey, let's real quick,
yes.
Steve. What is an executive order in our country?
So
How much power do they really have?
Executive orders are basically the president writes an order and signs it, right? And that's it. It's just by presidential fiat. So there are things that they only are things within the the executive branch's purview. So the executive branch cannot raise money, cannot make it. Basically they can't.
Yet.
They can't levy taxes. They can't spend money, essentially. Well, yeah, that's completely, the purse strings, as they say, is completely under the control of the legislative branch. So there are things they can do, there are things that they can't do, but the primary weakness of the executive order is that they could be reversed with a pen stroke as well.
Right.
Right, as we're seeing. Generally, I know a lot of critics of the excessive executive power argue that a lot of the things that get done through executive orders should be done through the legislative, but the legislative branch is kind of happy to just cede power to the executive branch, so they don't have to make tough decisions or tough votes that may seem problematic when they try to get reelected. So they're doing less and less. They're allowing the executive branch to overfunction for them. But it also means now we get these dueling executive orders, like every 4 years or so, we could have a complete overturn, you know. You could write a single executive order that says, I rescind all prior executive orders, you know, if you wanted to do that.
Yeah. If you recall Fox News back in the day, when I was younger, crying about Obama doing any executive orders. But now that has seemed to flip. Obviously, now
it's fine if their guy does it. Sure. It's fine.
It's advantageous.
Yeah, it's all good.
So TikTok is back to a degree. It is not available in the App Store, as we mentioned, because I think Apple and Google would get a $5,000 per user fee or fine. And although Trump has said he's not going to go after them for this term, if in 5 years somebody else was in, then they could go after Apple and Google, so they're no longer available. But if you download it already, it'll be there until it stops working. But the website still works.
I mean, it wouldn't take that long for it to stop functioning because of security updates and things like that.
Certainly. I mean, it's an issue. Doge now exists as a Department of Government Efficiency.
But it's not a department.
Right, but it's not a department. It's just a department in quotes. Let's see. Specifically the TikTok ban for 75 days because he wants the government to own 50% of it, which is an interesting issue. I don't know if that's good for free speech because they would have to, quote unquote, defend it, or if that's just state-run media and that's worse. So, not sure. Although it seems like social media is kind of beholden to state interest as well. Anyway, like Facebook and that. Declaring federal buildings should respect regional, traditional, and classic architectural heritage to beautify public spaces and ennoble the United States.
What's that about?
I'm wondering, does that mean like the Ten Commandments in like courthouses or Confederate flag, like all that kind of stuff?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, I would imagine renaming Mount Denali to Mount McKinley. And the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I mean, it's some of it's so stupid.
That last one right there, Gulf of America. I mean, that's clearly
there are international
waters.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's just probably in our documents that you can't call it the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh my God!
It's like just something stupid.
It's just dumb.
It's just silly shit. Anyway, I guess that's the majority of the executive orders right now. I mean, this is a Axios kind of, taking what they are specifically from a legal standpoint or whatever and interpreting them. But, it's relatively good summation, I guess. So who else is depressed? Are we good? Should we move on to something else?
Let's move on.
That's the world we live in. Got to educate ourselves.
Yeah, right. So let's look at some of these other topics. So Stargate project, maybe we could talk about that. That's a big one, right?
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's an interesting
interdimensional
thing.
travel. Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly. The government is now going. There's a company now, Stargate project, that will start working on interstellar wormhole gates. But that's actually not it. This Stargate project was announced recently. I think OpenAI is behind this. Trump announced it. I think it was yesterday. The idea is that this is all about AI infrastructure. They're going to put out there what they're saying is $500 billion, $500 billion over the next 4 years for AI infrastructure, data centers, and the way to power them, I suppose. That's also going to be part of it. They already have what's going to happen probably quickly is that $100 billion are going to be invested in this. And this is OpenAI, this is SoftBank, This is DMX. These are the main investors. Right now, the primary investor is SoftBank, and OpenAI is going to run the operations initially. But there's also, Microsoft is in there, NVIDIA is in there, Oracle is going to be in there. But right now, it's primarily, my take is that it's mainly SoftBank and OpenAI. $100 billion, a lot of money. And then over the next 4 years, they're going to get another $400 billion through investment. So I don't know if that it seems overly aggressive. One bright spot that I see here. Oh, they also claim 100,000 jobs will be created. Trump said immediately. I don't think that they're going to have immediate creation of that many jobs. One thing, and Trump said that he's behind this and he's going to make it happen. I don't mind the idea of the United States maintaining its lead in AI development, AI research, and stuff like that. I mean, we're already investing more money than any other country. I don't know how much more we actually need to maintain this lead, but it really scares me to think of a country like China making some of these fundamental breakthroughs in the near future with AI. I think that this is a technology. I mean, you could say that for national security and things like that, we really should invest enough to maintain some sort of dominance in this field. That's fine. The other thing I think that could come of this is with Trump behind this, he could potentially make, reduce the bureaucracy and the problems and the speed bumps in creating, nuclear power plants that are going to be required to create the electricity to run these data centers. They're talking about 10 data centers, 50 megawatts each. That's it's a half a gigawatt right there, and there could be more in other parts of the country. So so they're talking about potentially using renewables and nuclear power plants to power that. If we can get more nuclear power plants, that's great in my book, because as we've talked about on the show over and over and over, in order to minimize global warming over the next 20, 30, 40 years, we are going to absolutely need nuclear power in that mix. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So
in the last 10 years or so, there actually has been bipartisan measures to make it easier to build nuclear power in the U.S. to try to streamline, their bureaucracy and reduce how long it takes and the cost it takes to get nuclear power up and running, which is a good thing. So there's bipartisan support here. I've said, on the show a couple months ago even about this. I hope that. Again, you always hope that they're going to focus on sort of common sense bipartisan initiatives, right? That's the kind of stuff that you can get done, and that's one of them. Now, of course, if just building nuclear power to power AI data centers isn't going to help us in terms of the global warming, we have to actually start replacing like coal-fired plants with nuclear. But if if it does help transition the nuclear energy industry to like the Gen 4 reactors and the salt-cooled reactors, and get that technology up and running. Bill Gates, is investing billions in that technology as well. Yeah, so I mean that hopefully the next 4 years and beyond will be good for nuclear, because again there's no way we're going to take a bite out of our carbon footprint in the energy sector without nuclear power. It's just not happening.
Keep in mind, this is private companies spending their money. Like
right.
They're going to take that money and invest it. It's all about how they're going to invest it. This isn't because somebody in the chat was saying, like, we have a lot of homeless people and all that. Like, that money would never have been spent in any other way than to make more money. Mm-hmm. So it comes down to, do you think this is a worthy or valuable thing to work on? And I mean, I think it's a mixed bag. Now, first and foremost, who's going to have the levers to to control what all that AI technology is going to be doing? Right. Mm-hmm. That's a big consideration. Another consideration is, funny. I had a thing just occur to me in my brain. I'm like, do you want countries like China being in the lead with AI versus the United States? But
it's
my modern interpretation of the United States is that it's an evil goddamn empire more now than it's ever been. So that's a good question. I would rather have
good Rage Against the Machine.
Switzerland be building this than the United States.
The chocolate. Think of the AI chocolate.
Yeah, right. But again, we can hope. None of us can do anything to affect any of it, and it's an interesting thing. It could be a potentially very powerful and big life changer if used for good.
Like a lot of technologies, it's powerful, which means it could be powerfully good or powerfully bad.
Double-edged sword for sure. And the one data center they're working on, they're in Texas, so the plan is to do at least some of these in Texas. And we all know about the energy grid in Texas, right?
Yeah.
It's like on the edge now, and they're going to all of a sudden have these data centers that are going to need 50 megawatts each. So maybe you'll see some regulations and things that we're going to change there to make this happen. They're motivated now.
We need regulation to force. If you're going to build a massive data center, you need to power it too. You can't just plug into the grid.
And you need to cool it.
Absolutely not. Yep.
I don't understand them putting it in Texas. Texas is having 120-degree summers, and they need to cool this massive amount of heat that's going to be created in order to power these things. No, not in order to power them. The heat is the byproduct of the computers functioning.
Yeah.
And they need to cool that. And if you do any reading about cooling, it's super expensive. It's complicated. And why would you put it in an inherently hot place that's hot all year round, except when they get a wicked snowstorm every once in a while?
Someone asked, have they dealt with the nuclear waste problem? This is a complicated issue. You're better off thinking about it as spent nuclear fuel, right? Nuclear waste is kind of an arbitrary term. Yeah. It's spent nuclear fuel, right? It's just radioactive stuff, and because it's the difference between nuclear fuel, and nuclear waste is what can you burn.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
that definition is changing.
That definition is a moving target. It's also, it comes down to, well, how much do you want to spend? Like, you could reprocess almost anything into fuel, right? Almost any nuclear waste into more fuel. Mm-hmm. So nuclear waste really isn't the big problem people think it is the bottom line. And here's a big reason why. The very highly intense radioactive material has a short half-life by definition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So after 100 years, all the bad stuff is gone. It's already radiated away. The stuff that lasts for thousands of years, by definition, because again, there's an inverse relationship between how much radiation you release at a time and what your half-life is.
Right.
By definition, that stuff has a very low level of radioactivity, even down to background levels of radioactivity. It's not a big deal. So the idea that, we have to store this radioactive material for thousands of years, not really. We really just need to store the bad stuff for 100 or 200 years, and then the rest of it is low level radioactive stuff anyway. So the other thing is, it's not really. I just wish it wasn't the political football that it was, because it's not hard to store it. We just need to put it somewhere. It's just that because it has a stigma, nobody wants it in their backyard. It's purely a NIMBY problem. But the newer reactors actually generate less spent nuclear fuel, and they actually can burn the spent nuclear fuel of older reactors. Yeah. So if we transition...
Talking about Gen 4 reactors?
Yeah, to transition more to Gen 4 reactors. We could deliberately transition to reactors and also just say, all right, we're going to reprocess some of the waste. You could get rid of most of it by doing 90% of it. It's not 100% spent nuclear fuel. Some of it is just stuff that got radioactive because it was next to the reactor.
Yeah.
But it's a completely manageable problem. Do you know what releases more radioactivity into the environment than nuclear reactors? Coal does. Coal plants release more radioactivity into the environment than nuclear reactors.
And have killed more people than
by orders of magnitude.
That's a let that sink in statement, because it doesn't seem right. and why would it do that and everything? But
there's a little bit of uranium in the coal,
Yeah.
you know, and if you're burning it, it's all going up into the environment. Oh no, coal is way worse. If you think all things considered, nuclear is one of the safest forms of energy out there. It's like it's just behind solar, and better than pretty much everything else in terms of the amount of electricity generated versus the downside effect.
burning coal is literally over 100 year ago technology. You know what I mean?
It's like
When you think about it.
100 years, yeah.
So the idea that we're still burning coal is ridiculous when we have so many options today. We should be spending money developing ways to store energy because of renewables. If we had, we were talking about pumped hydro, and I remember when we were doing a deep dive on that, I got very excited about it because pumped hydro is fantastic. It's just that there's a limited number of places you could do it. But bottom line is, Gen 4 nuke reactors are one of the best ways to generate
They
electricity.
can't melt down.
Yeah.
They can be used to store power, so they're more flexible. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
with the salt, you can let the salt remain hot. You don't have to convert it immediately to electricity, and then so it could follow the grid, the demand a lot better. It integrates much better with renewable, with intermittent like wind and solar sources.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the salt reactors, like the one that designed that Bill Gates is funding, that is completely different than, don't think Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island. Like, it's completely different technology than those designs. It's way safer. It operates under much lower pressure. It's a much better design.
And Steve, is it true that if you drive near one of these Gen 4 reactors with unpopped popcorn in the car, it'll pop for free? I read about that.
Just put your Jiffy Pop in the back
Yeah,
seat.
just drive by and you're good to go.
Let it go,
I
yeah.
feel like that's an 80s movie of some sort.
And then we got fusion reactors. Hopefully, if they ever come to fruition,
Yeah,
they'll be even
stop it.
better. They'll be
Stop
far
it.
better.
I read something cool today, Bob, and
What?
Steve, and Ian.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know this, but there are a lot of independent companies that are
Sure.
working on the technology themselves.
Yeah.
They're making big claims and all that. I just think it's good for lots of different companies to be developing technology and everything.
Yeah,
because
hit it from lots of different angles. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and the also potential is like, let's say that company A comes up with something that company B could use, and they were like, our reactor concept is not going to work, but we came up with these few technologies that are really powerful, and they could sell them to the other companies.
They can share if they want to share that. That'd be
or
great.
sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they're very sharing.
All right, Ian, what else do we have?
So I got some other videos that maybe are a little fun that
All
we
right.
could just
We
watch.
need-
we
Just-
need, a,
fun.
we need
some
a palate
levity.
cleanser here, man.
We'll watch Hank in a second. He was talking about TikTok, but I think this one's actually more fun. Let's see.
What's happening? Oh, I saw this. This is
saw
great.
this? So he's testing different levels of
Fireworks.
Fireworks. 200
And I like
grams, I
that
think.
as he gets more and more, he goes farther and farther away. That's pretty cool.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Remember we used to shoot tennis balls out of a metal tube?
Yeah.
They would go far, a few hundred feet in the air.
Whoa.
Right?
So what was that?
That was an M80.
That was
Looks, yeah. That's bigger than an
big.
M80.
That's
That-
big.
That's
This is a
big.
big one.
that looks like one of those quarter-stick dynamite
Watch
things.
this, guys.
Yeah.
Watch this. Now,
It's-
what I find funny is
not
as he
that
gets
much
at the
higher.
higher range, the
Yeah.
wicks get longer.
Right.
As they should. That looks like a short.
That's
oh, wait,
crazy.
That's a side
Yeah,
wick.
he almost died there.
Yeah, that one's nuts.
And this, my friends, is exactly why the internet was created.
Yeah, this is
the
what
good
we
use
like.
of the internet.
This is what it's all about.
No one misinformation here.
Blowing shit up and porn. That's it.
Look at that.
That's
Look at that.
Whoa! What the hell was that?
That's awesome.
That was about a stick of dynamite.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's a lot of
That's a-
TNT
that's
right
a
there.
big-
Run,
That's a big boy.
run, Forrest.
What the hell? How was that?
That one launched.
How was that even intact still?
Yeah, pretty. This is
a
all
strong-
Look at
marketing.
the wick, guys.
This is marketing for that
Look how far
pan.
back it goes. Look at
I
this
want that
guy.
pan.
He's like, I'm not getting brass shrapnel or copper shrapnel.
Yeah.
Boom! That one is awesome.
That's nuts.
This
I mean,
I like this video. You want to know why? Because it makes you understand how we could get things into outer space.
You can't explode things like that.
Yeah, not quite. Like
No, but it gives
Yeah,
you an
yeah,
idea
yeah.
of like
chemical rock it's a controlled explosion.
It goes up.
Essentially.
It is.
Jeez, the speed with which it just launches is
gone.
He kept
Whoa.
it in the camera. I
mean,
I wish I knew how high that was going.
Look at that.
That's funny how it elongates.
That's how you make a walk. Look, it's like
how you
walk
make a
shape. You guys, we talked about it
That was
before,
great.
but whoops, the fastest or the second fastest
The
object in
I think it was
on
the-
Earth.
I think it
Let me
was the
see.
first. It wasn't the first. It was the manhole cover.
The manhole cover. See,
with
Bob
a
knows.
nuke under the ground. Yep, that
Okay,
thing.
fastest object from Earth. I think. I don't know. Manhole cover. I think there was a camera on it, and they calculated how fast it was based on like one frame of movement. Of course, the manhole cover is probably not in space; it probably just melted. But
Yeah.
let me see if I gotta find that.
so explain the
clip.
premise.
So like it was 1957, right? They were doing nuclear testing, I think,
Underground.
underground. And this was, they did it intentionally. They put a camera right by this manhole cover because they're like, well, it'll probably pop and then fly in the sky and that'll be cool. And
Whoa, that's not it.
what's that? Oh yeah, that's the next thing we'll talk about. So it was going a whopping 130,000 miles per hour based
Yeah.
on like one frame of catching it because I don't know how fast the camera was going in 57, but like that's what they calculated it going.
All right, so there was an explosion underground that pushed the manhole cover,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
This was a nuke too.
how high do we think it went, and did it melt? What was
No,
the
at that
deal?
speed, bits of it could have absolutely left Earth orbit for sure.
Probably
I mean,
bits. Probably not the whole thing. Like it's flying around. Operation Plum Bob. That was the thing.
I have
1957.
a question here. So if Captain America's shield hit it, would he be able to hold on to the shield?
I mean, and ride it out to space? Yeah, sure. Why not? No, probably not. I don't know. Can they survive nuclear blasts? The Marvel.
Yeah, what's
Any
that
of those?
material?
Yeah.
Vibranium.
Vibranium.
Could a vibranium manhole cover get launched into space?
That
with a
sounds like
nuclear
an
bomb?
AQ6.
Wait, it wasn't. I don't think it was was it vibranium from the beginning?
Yeah.
His shield
It's
was
vibranium.
made by Tony Stark's father,
Yeah.
and he said to
Yeah,
him when he gave it
that's
to
right.
him
It's been a while.
that this is all of
it's
the
been-
vibranium that the U.S. government has.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I don't
do
even know
remember
why
that
he
now.
made that shield. It's funny to think, but that's it, and that's why the shield is so.
Yeah.
so
If that was all the vibranium the U.S. government had, why would they put it into one shield? I don't know.
Just for one guy
for one guy.
to look cool. I can't find I thought I saw a photo of it from before, but if anybody in chat has it, I think it's out there.
I remember when we were young guys and we had those
We were never young.
we had those blockbusters.
Yes.
Right. My dad bought a huge bag.
Oh, I thought you meant the video
it's
rental
fireworks.
thing. No, the
No,
video
no, so
rental.
they were about what? About 3.5 inches tall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
M80 style, but bigger, like more like tube of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my niece liked Barney, and all adults in the world hated Barney,
Everyone.
and everybody agreed on this.
Yes.
And she
We
had
had a
this,
meeting,
She
and we
had
all
this
agreed.
little Barney doll that was made out of like a hard rubber. You know what I mean?
No.
And
I thought it was bigger.
yeah, it was pretty. Whatever. Whatever.
I
And
don't know
we-
if it's big, but anyway.
And we were like, oh, let's destroy it.
Yeah. We blew it up. We
So
blew it
us
to
and a
the-
bunch of
kill
friends
Barney.
go out on the street. It was
So
nighttime,
mean.
That was very satisfying.
and we taped it to it, and we set it off. And guess what happened?
It just melted.
Barney did
No.
not get harmed at all.
Oh.
Remember? We were like, you can't kill pure evil. What the hell? Like the Barney doll was able to take that.
That's awesome.
And that's when I realized that
Wow.
yes, Barney indeed is from the nether regions.
The
He's
future,
evil.
the nether
He's one of
That
the,
was a cursed item.
yeah, it
that's
was
why.
cursed item.
clearly.
You got to set to evil.
All right, so what is this? Is this the explosion? That we're
Okay,
seeing
so
there?
yeah, let's look at this. So this is what we talked about briefly last week, which was the SpaceX
Yes.
debris
Yeah,
that fell, and I couldn't find a video at that point, but now of course more videos are coming out. So this is a pretty popular one.
I mean, it's pretty.
Man.
It's very pretty to look at.
It's pretty wild. This is
That's
over Turks and
nuts.
Caicos, the island. I mean, look at that. That's pretty wild. It looks fake. I mean, it looks like some sort of computer graphic.
I'd be afraid that that would be much bigger pieces than.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I would be afraid that this was, some big stuff.
I mean, that's going pretty much right overhead there, man. That's not kosher.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But there's a lot of videos of that. So that's, I mean, it's an interesting,
I saw last month. We're driving down from Maine, and I saw 7 or 8 super bright lights in a row in the sky, and from a distance, it wasn't obvious, what was going on. And I was like, "What the hell is that?" It was the Starlink satellites.
Yeah,
that was bright and long and unmistakable.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Isn't that like what the astronomers are complaining about?
It's screwing up the night sky. For
right,
them. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just going to get worse, I think.
Yeah.
Although they said they're going to try to make the satellites less reflective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard
which
that.
they should have done from the beginning.
Well, it sounds like regulation. Communisms. So here's a fun one. We talked about the LA fires and a little bit, I think, about the LA like underground tunnels and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Here's a fun. This is like a bit. These are two comedians, but they do a fun comedic bit about this kind of conspiracy stuff.
NDA is expired, and you could talk about this. You used to work at a secret Starbucks, is that right?
Yeah, there is a Starbucks that is like above reserve, like a Starbucks no one's ever heard of or been to. All right, have you ever wondered while driving?
No one's ever
Los
heard
Angeles,
of or been to.
ever seen like Will Smith stuck in traffic on the 405?
Yeah.
I've never seen a 1%er just in their car stuck in traffic.
Why is that?
That's because there's a series of intricate tunnels underneath Los Angeles known as the Actor Bond. I'm not kidding. Like, they get access points to move through the city without ever having to be in traffic. You can come up in LAX. You can pop up at Dodger Stadium. Underneath there, in those tunnels, is Starbuckses set up at different locations to allow them to get coffees while they're driving. All
Who's
of
them?
Seinfeld.
You've seen
Oprah,
Seinfeld down there?
Bono. I've seen Seinfeld down there. Dude, almond milk latte, 2 shots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he a good tipper?
They don't have to pay.
So this has been underneath Los Angeles for a few years now? I mean, how long has this been there for?
I mean, it predates me. It seems like the city was built on top of it. So, I mean, I think this goes all the way back to the 20s.
This doesn't seem real almost. This is crazy.
I imagine how I sound saying it to people.
Yeah. These guys are comedians, but
yeah.
the
It's
music.
funny satire. But the thing is, it's not that far off.
I know.
It's not far off from the things that people say on TikTok.
Definitely not, man. I mean,
some people would watch that and believe it.
I mean, look, when that music comes on,
Yeah.
to me,
You know.
it's immediate bullshit. But to a lot of people, they lean in. They're like, what?
Yeah.
So
It is intriguing how that music
That's funny,
connects
though.
with your brain.
secret tunnels under LA.
Secret tunnels.
But the whole the funny part is that it's because of Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, and that just for the record,
It's
just so
fun.
everyone
Yeah, it's fun. It's
understands, because I don't know, I think there's confusion about this. Starbucks coffee is swill. It is actual swill. And I'll explain this
In
to
your
you.
subjective opinion.
In his subjective opinion, it's objectively smart.
Their brewed coffee's fine.
Oh my God,
That's true.
Bob.
Bob is the coffee whisperer.
Jay's a
right?
coffee
Snob.
I mean, a lot of
You better buy coffee before the tariffs kick in. but-
connoisseur if you're being generous.
Right.
Snob if you're not being generous.
You call Bob a... Wow, today doesn't make any sense.
No, you're
you're
the connoisseur.
No, you're the
slash
connoisseur.
snob.
Snob.
But you went like this.
No,
No,
I'm
he's
saying
the-
one hand or the other.
Not pointing to Bob.
Yeah,
Bob,
pointed to Bob.
Bob will drink Keurig coffee.
Yes.
That's
Yes, that
fine.
is-
If you enjoy it, look, guys, I'm just saying, if you go to Starbucks and
That's
you
good for
enjoy the
you.
coffee, great. Great. But, however, it's like pizza. Yeah, you can eat bad pizza. That's
right.
I've eaten bad pizza. I've enjoyed eating bad pizza because it's still,
Pizza.
it's still got the elements that are,
Yeah.
it's fine,
Now, that's the only thing that should be coal powered.
But
pizza.
But Ian, and back me up on this, Ian. But
Yes,
if you
sir.
go to New Haven, Connecticut, and
Yeah.
you eat at one of the 2 or 3 awesome pizza places there,
Mm-hmm.
and you experience like the height of pizza, then you could go, huh?
Then you go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, then you go to
Right.
Chuck E.
Oh, my
Cheese.
God.
Right? And again, Chuck E. Cheese pizza is trash, but you could eat it.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
eat it every day. So
Man,
Hopefully not every
Brooklyn
day.
pizza, my friend. Brooklyn
Is-
pizza. Oh.
Even Manhattan, it's
Yeah,
just
Manhattan
any New
is
York
really
pizza
good.
is really, really good. And
It's
New
really
Haven
good.
pizza.
New
there's
Haven
a
is
big
good.
circle
Very
around this
different, but
area,
it's good.
and there's lots of great pizza. So yeah, it's perfectly
greater
okay
New
to say
York
that
area.
the coffee coming out of Starbucks is swill. It is.
Yeah.
It's mass-produced garbage, and then 99% of the people that drink it are
Compared to your French press homebrew select. Yeah, I could, sure.
You have the cat poop coffee?
I have lately, my wife and I have an espresso machine that we use. My wife still every day uses it. For some reason, like a month ago, I'm like, I want to have brewed coffee again, right? So I just started making my own brewed coffee.
Yeah.
So I have a percolator. It's great. The coffee, we buy coffee from a company called Blue Bottle. Their coffee is fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you're
Not a
buying
sponsor.
if
You
you're
grind it
buying
yourself?
beans, yeah, buy it. We buy it. If you're buying beans, you might as well spend a few more bucks. Get the Blue Bottle. It's freaking awesome. There's lots of great roasters out there. I'm just saying, though, Starbucks, man, they have to over roast their coffee to get their consistency of flavor down. And again, most people are putting tons of milk and sugar in there. You could literally start with with really bad stuff, and it'll taste fine with all that milk and sugar.
Lydia, what is Yorkshire tea like? Is it black tea?
Oh, yeah,
first
that's
of all?
good. That's the good stuff. Mm-hmm. I have Yorkshire tea.
Black
think
tea
I've
with
had
what?
that.
What kind of spices are in there?
It's just black tea.
Yorkshire
It's pretty
tea.
just...
It's just straight up black
It's
tea.
like, I think it's in a blend of Assam and, what's the other one? Like, I have the Yorkshire Gold.
I'm an
which
Earl
I
Grey
like
man
that.
myself,
Oh, Earl
but-
Grey is
Earl
dope.
Grey is good.
Bergamot? Yeah,
I think the
man.
best tea I ever had came from India.
yeah.
Well, I mean, all the tea comes from India, basically. I mean,
I think all
you know
tea
what I
comes
mean?
from
like,
India.
it's
yeah.
basically, this is the good stuff. This is what I like. I like this pretty. There's also Irish brand and stuff like that. This is good. I don't know what the mixture is. What's the difference between Yorkshire tea and Gold? Gold is a lot more mild. Red is blended with Kenyan
It's a
and
brand of black
Assam
tea.
tea.
Olivia, we want to come to Switzerland. Legit, we do.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we have to come under the auspice of it being a conference and
That's
all
right.
that because it pays for us to go.
Hey, I have a coffee hack.
Uh-oh.
And
Here we
it
go.
works. If you have, if for whatever reason you have bitter coffee, but you still want to drink your coffee, but you don't want to drink bitter coffee, put a little salt in it.
Oh, try not to
It
put
goes
myself.
away. I've done it. It
Salt?
works. Salt. A little salt takes the bitter
Interesting.
away.
And if you have to drink that and put salt in it, then why not just buy good coffee? Right, Bob?
Jay, sometimes some of us can't afford a goddamn $1,000
It's not
effing
Espresso machine.
espresso machine. So we
Okay,
gotta.
yeah, that's true.
With the blue bottle coffee.
We're not the coffee 1%
Yeah,
people
no
like you are,
exaggeration.
Jay.
Treat
Yeah, I mean,
yourself, Bob.
I'm
Treat
spending
yourself.
thousands of
You're
dollars a
worth
week
it.
on my coffee. I mean, I don't think that there's anything that I can
Yeah.
eat or drink other than a rejuvenation potion that I would spend $1,000 a freaking week on. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Maybe 500.
That's true.
what's
Okay.
next, Ian?
Well, so there was more information on the TikTok ban, but it's basically just Hank Green going over like people conspiracy. Like Shu removed his description that said he was a CEO, except he never had the description that said he was CEO. Facebook created a TikTok account. So like there's a lot of conspiracy that like Facebook secretly bought TikTok. That's basically the gist. We don't need to go into it. I thought
Yeah.
maybe this video of a little Connecticut meme might be funny if since we're Connecticut boys. Let's see how you guys think about this. Let me go back. You go to Greenwich.
Mm-hmm.
That's very Greenwich.
It's a
If
beautiful
anybody's
house.
familiar, yeah, it's castle. I like it. Bridgeport. That's
Bidpo. Yeah. Here we go.
New Haven GL.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Best pizza in the world, it says at the bottom.
That base. Not,
East Haven. Hey.
Hey, Bungle.
Paisans there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's full of them.
Here we go.
Like Mystic. Yeah, Mystic Aquarium's fun.
It is. It's good
I like.
time.
Yeah, look at that narwhal. Mohegan Sun.
We haven't gone to a casino in a while, guys.
We're just
Yeah,
in
let's
Vegas,
not.
Bob.
Dudley Town.
We didn't play. I literally did not play one damn
Do you guys know about Dudley
game
Town?
of.
Yeah, we know all
Yeah,
about
we know
it.
all about Dudley.
It's
Yeah,
bullshit.
It's bullshit. I mean, there's nothing really there. It's just like empty.
It's
but
bullshit.
it's scary, apparently.
No, it's nothing. you
It's
know?
nothing.
It's basically like the
Couple of foundations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, right. It was
Yeah.
Hey, people like to feel scared and like get that spooky feeling and all that.
Spooky
Yeah, but you can do better than that.
So we could talk about some Red Dye 3 if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it on the show tonight.
All right, so then we'll save that for the show.
I can give it the
You can do
20-second
top level. Yeah.
quickie.
Mm-hmm.
The FDA rescinded their approval of red dye number 3 as a food additive based upon actually there's
Science?
No,
No science.
not based on science. They actually say in their letter, this is perfectly safe. The science says this is safe. And so there was a petition by like these, environmental working group and Consumer Reports, unfortunately, basically a bunch of chemophobic, pseudoscientific, environmental
love it.
organizations. And like, well, there is this law which says that you have to ban food or additives that have been shown to cause cancer in humans or animals. Here's 2 studies showing that it causes cancer in rats. So you got to ban it.
With no more nuance than that? Like, what kind of dose are we talking about?
Well, it's funny. You should ask about the dose. So in those studies, rats, first of all, it was in rats, right? They were given a dose more than 24,000 times the daily allowance for red dye number 3.
Almost
So-
anything would give you cancer at that point.
Yeah, right. Almost 24,000 times the whatever, like a maximum dose somebody could possibly get of red dye number 3. And they figured out the mechanism by which it did cause cancer in those rats, and it doesn't apply to humans. It doesn't cause cancer in humans. So the FDA
Whoops.
said, and they were given it every day of their lives, basically, even in utero.
Yeah, wow. Wow, they really went
They could have just
full
swapped
on.
out their blood for this
Even
shit,
in
I guess.
utero.
So I mean, that's there are sometimes we do toxicity studies to say, all right, let's push this until it breaks,
Yeah.
just so we could see how it breaks or if it breaks or whatever. It's not a safety study; it's just a toxicity study. So that's what they were doing. Like they gave a ridiculous dose like throughout the entire life cycle of these rats. And they had a higher rate, I think it was thyroid cancer, through some hormonal mechanism that just does not exist in humans.
So does this mean I can't get my raspberry Jello anymore?
Well, it won't be red.
Yeah,
It won't
maybe.
have that bright cherry red. Or they'll use some other dye.
Yeah, probably.
And again, I don't care about the red dye number 3. That's not the issue.
Right.
The issue is,
I care.
why did the FDA make this decision? And it has to do with a couple of things. One, I think it's because of the Supreme Court decision about the Chevron deference. You guys familiar with the Chevron deference?
No.
Tell us all about it.
All right. Well, this is all right. I'm going to tell you about it.
Wait, is this a news item tonight? And watch the show.
All right. I want to know about the
Yeah,
Chevron deference
Yes.
and how that influenced the FDA
Yeah.
to make a horrible decision that they're saying. Like, they're almost passive aggressive in their, like, okay, we're banning this thing. The science says it's safe, but this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
Fuck you. That was basically the FDA's,
It's basically how do agencies do stuff.
And
or
remember,
not.
though, the important thing here is that the Chevron deference has nothing to do with the vast deference.
Thank you
With the
very
vast
much.
deference.
Unrelated.
Unrelated. Thank you. But what is
Thanks for clearing
related
that up,
is
Bob.
that red dye is made from bugs, right?
Yeah.
The cochineal.
Cochineal.
They like these red bugs that grow on cacti. Seems like
Lots
So
of
it's
things
natural.
come
It's
from
all
this.
natural.
it's all natural bug juice.
You ever hear of shellac?
Shellac. That's true. Have you seen the videos of the dudes like making the shellac and they like stretch it and stuff like that? I'll find a video.
Hey
of
guys,
shellac.
wax comes from a gland on a bee,
Yeah.
on honeybees.
That's true.
It literally oozes
silk.
out of their bodies.
And silk comes from like a worm butt.
It's worm poop.
Worm poop.
no,
so-
no, silk is
Isn't it?
it's in the what do you call it? Like the eggs are put into a silk nest.
Steve.
Sorry, I wasn't going there with that, Steve. But I appreciate it. So no, if you see them extract silk,
Yes.
they're taking the what do you call those things?
We've lost it.
Chrysalis?
I
Bugs.
forget.
The
Somebody
cocoon?
knows what it's called.
Cocoon?
Egg sac?
Kind of like a
Egg
cocoon.
sac?
Yeah, the egg sac type of thing. Then they boil it,
Yeah.
and then they literally just go like this, and then they put it into like an extruder type of thing that
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
strings it out.
But
And
it's the worms like
And there's lots of
throwing
different
it up, right?
yeah,
Or
lots of
flipping it?
different species of
Yeah.
silkworms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very highly protected thing,
And guess what we learned in Turkey?
What was that? What'd you learn in trivia?
that getting the silk and making the silk isn't really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's the weavers who have to weave it
Yeah.
that is excruciatingly slow and difficult and
Yeah.
massive skill set. Like, that's where all the money comes from, or that's where it has to go to pay
it's
these
very
people to do it.
labor-intensive.
Yeah.
All right.
So we can make silk like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Well, it's somebody's business.
And we still can't make the fake stuff
No.
as well as the
No, hell
instant the
no.
bugs do. Like we can't make spider silk. The problem with spider silk is not we can genetically engineer whatever to
Pump
spit
it
out
Yeah.
spider silk, but it just comes out as a glob. We need the spiders' spinnerets to
Yeah.
weave it into the thread.
Yes.
That's what we need.
So we should employ 100,000 spiders. Right now, that's
we
money
want to
well
mass
spent.
produce this stuff. We need a nano spider's ass, basically the spinnerets. We need to be able to make our own, artificial spider butts.
I'm all for it, man. I mean, I want to be able to shoot spider webs from a mechanism on my wrist to grab things from across the room. Like, why do I have
Spider-Man
to-
worked all that shit out like decades ago.
Yeah, right? It's taking so long.
Do you prefer the Spider-Man where it's natural, it comes out of their body, or the ones where he has to make it and put the fluid in and whatever?
Okay, that's a great freaking question.
I know it
and
is.
this will take a little while to.
Okay.
Settle
Here we
back,
go.
settle back.
So I'd like, first off, the original Spider-Man. Yeah, it was web fluid.
It was web fluid.
Yeah, he was. Was an engineer enough to be able to make it, and it's pretty damn
Right.
powerful stuff. And then it also like evaporates.
This is what I
after
didn't
time.
like about that, is that you get one gimme. You don't
Yeah.
get two gimmies.
Yeah.
Right? All right, you're bitten by a radioactive spider, and now you have magical spider powers. All right, that's your gimme.
Yeah.
But also you invent spider web, like something we still haven't been able to do in 50 years like this. That's like
It's a
two
big deal.
massive gimmies.
a big
It was
deal.
much better to have it just be natural. Like, yes, you have the genes in you. You have the spinnerets in your wrists. You're making the spider web. It makes so much more sense.
So
Yeah.
what was his powers?
much
Just
can
having
you make,
spider
though?
sense?
No, Spider-Man has lots of different.
I know, strength and
there's
like
partial invulnerability, definitely souped up strength,
speed.
souped up
the Spidey
souped up
Spidey
senses.
senses,
He basically he is essentially like acting faster.
Yes.
Then
But this is the
reality.
original Spider-Man, and they didn't think to give him web.
They made
powers?
him. Yeah, had
Well,
the
mechanical.
The web
He's-
shooters are technology.
He's
like, that's,
brilliant. He's brilliant.
He's
I was
brilliant,
I
yeah.
was fine with them, but don't forget, Jay. It's not just souped up strength, dude. Wasn't it revealed not too long ago that
He's a dexterity-based spider, though.
Spider-Man has been holding
Dex
back
build.
every punch he ever threw. He's holding back because he's actually so strong that he would like pop off somebody's head a one punch man every time he punched somebody, and he's
pretty
always holding back.
Sure.
Which I thought was interesting. It was an interesting idea. Like, yeah, he's afraid to kill people with his punches, so he's always tentative.
Then he
That's
can
cool.
he can he has the ability to stick to surfaces, which I like. The
right,
modern
that's
version
true.
of it was that the little hairs.
Yes.
come
Yeah,
out.
but is that involuntary? Because I mean, sometimes you don't want to stick to something when you're
True.
touching
It's like a
it.
cat.
Well, when he
it touches
masters
something.
it, then he can turn it on.
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere else.
I
when you
heard
said
master.
What?
I thought you were
Nothing.
going somewhere else.
Moving on. Moving.
When he masters the skill.
Yeah, that's dangerous. You only make that mistake once. For him.
Right.
He's got to probably have a special glove or something for that,
Oh Lord.
just to make sure.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Jesus,
All
Just
right,
get a
Lord,
girlfriend.
Just. Jesus.
Wait, that could actually be problematic, but we're not going there either.
That's not. No.
All right, so I think that's it for today's show.
Yeah. So let's do the TikToks. Right?
do
Do we have
TikToks.
any TikToks that
We
that are
do.
good? Okay. Good. We'll go through those TikToks.
Steve, are you doing these solo or what?
Whatever. How do you want to do it?
Well, I mean, I didn't watch them to
So
the
yes,
degree.
then apparently I am.
No, meaning I'm not going to be commenting on them better than you would be commenting on them.
Right. But we could. They don't all have to be solo. We could do.
Well, let's pop them up real quick and see
We could
which
do
ones
the
you liked.
the space one together.
The space one. Okay, so there was the Chinese landing on the moon. Okay, then there was ADHD and oxygen.
Bad.
No, heavy metal detox spray.
The oxygen one and
The-
ADHD.
And
yes.
ADHD, yes. Okay, Wim Hof breathing.
No.
No, 9/11.
No.
Methylene
stupid.
blue.
No, we did that already.
You don't bleed water
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's stupid.
because it's stupid. Right.
Thanks, Joanne.
Mhm.
I mean, you kind of do bleed water because there's water in blood.
Well,
Well,
they
that's-
you
hold
listen
on.
to this guy-
They
This is-
cover
right.
that.
If
This
you
is-
listen to this guy, oh my God, I couldn't watch the whole thing. He was beyond the
Another
beyond.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me get to the TikTok scene. Oh yeah, we're using a different camera. But let me just fix these cameras up.
I think Musk is just a fan of Star Trek, and he was thinking of the Bread and Circuses episode.
Yeah, of course.
And that was a Roman salute.
Did you ever see the chart that they
Oh
put
my
up?
God.
So if they have like the degrees, right? So it's like basically like call a cab, the Nazi salute, all here.
Yeah.
And then like below that, it's like pet your dog, do this, do that, do that. So like it's like all right, let's make this perfectly clear.
Yeah, so you here up, you're
Okay,
good.
that's not.
Yeah.
And here down, you're
So
good.
glad
But
I'm
here
not
to
capturing
here,
it.
here,
no
Okay,
good. That's
no
no,
good.
no fly zone.
Jesus.
Now we learn this collectively through our culture,
Yes.
Right.
globally,
Right.
because everybody knows about it.
You would think.
But yeah,
Hold on, let me
really,
fix
hey,
that.
what was
Whoa,
that?
whoa, wait, hold on. I'm just trying to grab.
No behind the scenes peek.
I know.
area.
There's no green screen. There's no.
Of course
This
we
is.
have a green
look
screen.
At. No, it's not. Look at the spaces in the background. Also, you talk about Nauticon since it's on the screen.
Nauticon, my friends, is a conference,
Mhm.
but it's not a conference. And why did we name it that, Ian?
That's a
Well,
good
the real
question.
question is why did
Oh.
Ian pick nauticoncon.com?
.com.
It's a mystery.
Why
It's a
did he
mystery
pick that
and a
URL?
riddle.
It's a confusing URL.
No, it's not. Perfectly.
but it's ours, so we'll keep it.
Perfectly
Yeah.
safe.
Nauticon is our conference that we're having this year. It starts on May 15th.
Mhm.
It's going to be in White Plains, New York. Ian and I just did our site survey last week. We approve. Everything is great. The hotel has been completely refurbished. We saw everything. So we're very excited. If you're interested in learning more, you can go to nauticoncon.com. Everybody got that?
Or
you
just
can-
go to the Skeptics
Or
Guide.
go to theskepticsguide.org and you'll see a link on there for you. But in essence, it's a conference where we don't have any speakers. There's 9 of us, eight of us. There's 8 of us, all the directors of the
Right.
conference that are all the content creators. We do lots of different things, lots of different bits,
8, 9 with Ian.
all entertain. Well, 8, 9 with
with
Ian.
Ian.
Yeah, and then we have other people too. But the talent on the show is going to be Bob, Steve, Evan, Kara, me, George Robb, Brian Wecht, and Andrea Jones-Roy,
Yes.
Yep.
who I'm a huge fan of, by the way.
We all are. We
Yeah,
love
she's
her.
awesome.
She's going to be on the show tonight.
Yep, and we do lots
Ooh,
of
yeah.
we're going to do lots of different bits. It's going to be a lot of fun, and most importantly, there's a lot of time for socializing and getting to know people, meeting people in meet space, as we like to say. There are people in the chat that have been there and will be happy to answer your questions. And I'm super excited about this year because it's been roughly a year and a half since the last conference, so I'm all jazzed up. Can't wait to do it.
Oh yeah, that was so good last year. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I know, right? It was
just like-
crazy.
I really
I think-
felt vibes of TAM in terms of the social aspect and interacting with people.
Well, way better because there's a lot of time here.
Getting back to the Nazi salute.
Nazi
though,
salute,
What I
though.
want to know,
Yeah, here we go.
since
If you do it with 2 hands, though, it's not the Nazi
then
salute.
Superman.
That's a
Superman.
blessing. That's a blessing.
Oh, it is.
Or
It's a
calm-
blessing.
or
the
calm
Pope
down.
can do this.
Up here is
Calm
Superman.
down. God.
Then right here is what?
But you,
It's a little shaky.
This
there's
is like
no
a room
double. There's no double sig heil.
This
That
is a
doesn't
room
exist.
blessing, and then down here, this is like a personal blessing. Like
Yeah.
someone's at the altar and you're blessing.
But I'm saying, like, how we say the N word when we want to refer to the N word
Right.
without saying
The
the N
N-word.
word.
Right.
So how do we demonstrate a
2
Nazi
hands. I like
salute
2 hands.
without demonstrating?
Oh, actually,
a Nazi
do you want to
salute?
learn the sign language for Hitler?
yeah.
Okay, I'll just show you, and you could. Do
Is it a sig heil?
All right, go ahead.
It's this.
Or
this.
I love it.
Or this?
Why do
Yeah.
this though?
Because it's the mustache. No, it's the thumb is on your. There's like where the
Yeah.
mustache.
Oh, that's
is,
the
and
salute.
then-
It's the
and then
mustache.
there's
Okay.
also one where you just touch to do the
I like
mustache.
this
I love it. No, I
Yeah.
like this one because it's both. It's
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
Hitler and the salute, whereas
That's
this
funny.
this could
That's-
just be Hitler. This could just be
That's American
Hitler.
Sign Language that I learned.
Yeah.
Wow,
There you go.
I love it.
It's pretty funny.
So you're saying we could do this?
I think you can. It's a little risky, but I mean, I don't know. Deaf people invented it, so take it
Ian,
up with
how
them.
do you say with American Sign Language, Jawohl, mein Führer?
I'll look it up. I think that might be German
You have
sign
to do it with
language.
fingers.
Okay, let's get to this crap.
And the Führer said to me, Hans, ow. That movie, this is from the producers.
Yes.
Such a good movie. man.
Classic movie. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure this is muted so nothing, some crazy crap is not playing. All right, here we go.
This guy.
This
I mean, it's just like
This doesn't end.
Stupid
just,
people
it
on
never
TikTok.
ends. Yeah, it's just. I mean,
Bottomless pit.
Before
I
you
think
play
this
this-
is technically on Instagram, but like still.
Before
they're
you play
everywhere.
this,
Whatever,
though,
whatever.
I saw a video on TikTok recently.
Yeah. Proud of you.
And I'm telling you, it was very, it was perfect. All right, so there's a newscaster and a camera guy, and they're getting out of the truck, and the camera guy's like, "What are we doing here in blah 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 town?" He's like, so the newscaster guy's like, anything can happen here. We could literally bring up any topic. Like name a mystical creature. So they come up with Pegasus. Okay, there's a Pegasus. So he goes up to these. This is Key and Peele, right? It was Key and Peele.
Okay.
I love
So he
Good
goes up.
contact.
He
I
goes
have a
up
video for
to
that
one
too.
of the guys, and he's like a black ghetto guy, and he's like, "Have you seen a Pegasus?" And then the guy's going, "Oh yeah, I saw the Pegasus. It was unbelievable." And he starts like, because he's on camera, so of course he's like he got a hole in the roof of his house, and he's like, "The Pegasus landed there," and doing all this shit. Then this other guy comes up, and then the two of them like start kind of arguing about what Pegasus does. Does he have wings and all this shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the next thing you know, so what happens is the news reporter is going around and basically giving people different pieces of information to get them to fight with each other. So then this whole brawl outbreak happens, and then he does his news report, and he goes, "A riot has broken out in this town, over the rumor that there is a Pegasus." Like, so he creates the whole thing. It was so freaking done well. It was perfect, man.
That's social media in a nutshell.
Those guys crack me up. With great responsibility with great power comes great responsibilitrix.
What's a Trillatrix? What is that?
All right, here we go. Are you ready? Stand by.
Key and Peele, man.
They're funny.
I'll
I have a
let
Key
you
and
do it.
Peele video I'll play in a second. Let's do this first.
When did the Chinese land on the moon?
I have no idea.
2013. Did you ever see the video?
No.
So the Chinese landed on the moon in 2013, and they released a video for it. But pretty quick, that video was taken down, and they said, "No, it's just a joke," because it was so bad. It was so fake. Because they didn't have, Kubrick, You need a better production staff and better cameras if you guys want to fake this.
The sad thing is, you cannot fix stupidity, and that's what's happening here.
Cognitive dissonance is probably exactly what it is. Is that they've been in echo chambers for so long, that's all they have. Well, we did it as a society, for how many, even when you're in grade school, and they give you the globe, or they talk about the man on the moon, they talk all the stuff they teach you in grade school about stuff that I could challenge right now. They teach us a lot of stuff that we hear over and over and over again that we take it for granted. That's what happened. I don't want to do this anymore because I don't believe what you guys are peddling on either side. And so, but I do get a kick out of Tucker because he has pretty good humor and he does come up with some good points sometimes to make me think. I don't believe what he says just because.
That's funny.
Oh my
sorry.
God!
It's
Why
painful.
we still even
I
need
know.
to?
All right, hold on. Let me fix.
But the music.
What camera are we going to use for?
Yeah, I'm going to use the main camera. Hold on. Let me just.
So we're going to look at that camera right there.
Yeah, and I'll switch. Let me see. I'll just switch between these cameras.
I watched that video. I don't know if they're posed. I don't know if that's real. That could be fake. Right?
But it's also very representative of real.
Evan, is that
Believers.
fake or not? You sent it to me.
Is the video fake?
Is it a Poe?
No, I don't think it's fake. That other guy, the guy who interviews him, is definitely like a.
It's real?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
if it were
true
fake-
believer kind of.
If it were fake, it
thing
would be better, funnier.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
We
like,
could- we
like
could-
the
we-
Starbucks under LA.
right.
we could write a better one than that one.
I
Yeah.
think the big thing is like when the captions aren't corrected, it's real.
Yeah,
like because like he
they're
said
incorrect.
he said Tucker, but it said talker.
Talker.
You know what I mean? So
And
it's
he
like
said, or they put in jewelry.
right.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't give a shit. Right. It's like
I was like, is that what he said?
Let's do that. Let's make a video with that music, with
No,
one of those
let's
music.
do this video.
Okay.
let's just do this
I
instead.
think it'd be fun.
Hold on, let me. There's multiples of you. Hold on, let me get the right shot because I want to have. Oh, you know what? That works. Boom. All right.
Boom.
There, we'll keep it there, and then TikTok, I'll switch.
We'll make a different account and we'll publish it and we'll see what happens.
That's true. All right, here we go.
Right. So, what'd you guys think about that video? So, yes, in 2013, China did land their Chang'e 3 lander on the moon, on the far side of the moon, which included a rover, which is what the little clip of the video was showing was. Now, the video isn't down. You can go online and get it. So this whole narrative, well, they took the video down because it was so bad, is ridiculous.
It's so
just
easy to do
not-
on the internet. Just take it down.
It's just not true. The videos are still up there. So I found it right away on YouTube.
But Steve, when they play that music,
Everything is fake.
It's got to be. Yeah, I know. So the bottom line is that isn't even what this video is really about. That was just the springboard to him diving into, complete
Everything is fake.
conspiracy theory.
Yeah. But I like the throws out there. You need Kubrick to do this, as if like Kubrick faked the American moon landing.
Yeah.
And
Let's face it. Yeah, Kubrick was a great director and everything, but we have special effects artists today that can blow away anything that Kubrick could have ever dreamed.
It's a ridiculous argument. I'd say, if you don't have this director from 50 years ago, you could never make a convincing, fake landing video.
The bottom line, it was impossible to fake the moon landing videos with the technology of the late 60s. Absolutely impossible. The two big examples, the parallel light coming from the sun, impossible to fake with technology, the lighting technology at the time. And also the other one that I think is compelling is the moon, the regolith spinning off the wheels of the rover and falling in low gravity. Impossible to fake. So those are the two big ones.
Well, yeah. So, also you could see plenty of video. Like China has released video of their spacecraft landing. You can see in real time landing on the surface of the moon, and then the rover rolling out. And the video quality is fine. Like, there is no reason to even say that it's fake. It's bad. It's obviously fake. It isn't. It's all in their subjective perception because they want to see that it's fake.
Right.
There's nothing in that video that looks fake.
Yeah, but can you see stars?
Yeah. Or you just make up stuff that's just based upon your own ignorance of how photography works and how lighting works, etc. But this is just an extension of the American moon landing. The Apollo program was fake, which of course is just a conspiracy theory. And as Bob points out, it'd be impossible. It'd actually be harder. It would have been harder to fake the moon landing than just to go to the moon.
Yeah.
I
mean, in order to fake the moon landing, they had to send something up there to make all of the paths that the rovers made and at the footprints and everything. So that if you
leave props there because you can see them now. And don't forget, Russia was tracking us every centimeter to the moon. If we did not land there, they would have absolutely said something to the world, like they faked it.
Yeah, but so what they say about that is conspiracy theorists like, we caught them, Russia faking, Russia caught us faking, so now it's like mutually assured destruction. So I guess because we would have also caught China faking if they never, because they didn't even put people on the moon, they just put robots on the moon. If we would have been able to tell if they weren't able to send stuff to the moon. And because you could track that sort of thing, and so I guess China must have the goods on us too.
Yeah,
but they waited 40 years until we had the goods on them. I guess it makes no sense. And of course, there's other countries in the world. Other countries were involved with the Apollo program and also have the ability, to know if we actually were sending stuff up there. Or not.
Is the premise though like
you can't trust them? You can't trust anything the government tells you.
Right? Because it's not like they're saying it's too hard to get there. Like, it's complicated, but it's not too hard to get there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just the argument from personal incredulity. Do you really think we sent a guy all the way to the moon? Sometimes if they think they're clever, they'll say the Van Allen belts have too much radiation. It's like, there's radiation in the Van Allen belts, but you go through very quickly. Those rockets are going extremely fast.
Exactly.
And they track how much radiation exposure the astronauts get exposed to. So they don't have a coherent point to make. It's just, you don't trust them. They lie, therefore they're lying about this. And then they do the typical anomaly hunting and personal incredulity, and then you just put the sinister music in the background.
Right.
And there you go.
It's a take.
And there it is.
Cool.
All right.
We'll just deal with that.
The next two are both medical, so I'm going to do them on my own.
Okay.
All right.
Well, everybody have a wonderful day. This was
a lot of fun.
I know that we started off with a depressing topic, but it's part of being a skeptic. We have to educate ourselves. We are recording the show tonight.
Yep.
Which will be out on Saturday.
Yes, as per usual. Oh, we didn't tell them what we told the Friday live stream.
That's right. Go right ahead.
We didn't do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So I did make it public on Friday. If you were not on the Friday live stream, I'm retiring at the end of June from Yale. I'll be retiring from my day job as a doctor. I gave my notice to them at the end of February. I think it was over Thanksgiving week.
Yep.
And so my patients have got their notices, so they all know that this is happening. I'm telling them, as I see them as well. So this will free me up to be doing SGU work full time.
Which means a ton more content.
Yes, which
Hell
means more
yeah.
content. That's what that means.
And good quality content.
Hopefully, hopefully it'll be good
That's-
quality.
Yeah, we're up in the quality.
So we are looking forward to that. There'll be more of this kind of stuff going on.
Hey, Bob is one of the handsome ones. How dare
James,
you?
you are a gentleman and a scholar, and I don't disagree with
One
you.
of the handsome. Full-time Dr. Skeptic. That's true.
That's right.
Dr. Skeptic can be your new name.
All right, I'll see you boys tonight.
I'll see you
All
tonight.
All right, guys.
We'll see
Hasta la
ya.
vista.
Bye-bye,
Jay,
Bob.
what's happening with that stuff in those two?
I'll bring it down here.
All right, I'm going to move this camera around so we can get the good
Send
shot
an email with my
for
top
that.
pick
Yeah,
tonight.
it's fine.
See
Am I
you
going to stay
later.
here?
Yeah. I'll just... Oh, no. Actually, you know what? Go to Bob's seat.
Yeah, so I can move these chairs out of the way.
Sir, see you later.
Yes.
We're going to build the computer.
Bob, are these your glasses?
We got a 40-80 before they get gone. Congrats on the I know a lot of congrats in the chat. Thank you everybody on Steve's behalf. He's just getting set up. Actually, I got to zoom out a little bit. And I got to change the background to the TikTok. Oh, let me go here. All right, let me fix that real quick, chat. Bye. Okay. I need some background music when I'm doing that. I'll set that up next time. Chat. So you listen to some dee doo 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 doo. Girl from Ipanema stuff. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's get rid of this guy. Since he's dumb. Wait till these guys stop clomping around.
When you've cut yourself, you've never.
Whoops. I'm not gonna do that.
When you cut yourself,
Cut
Ian,
yourself.
water doesn't come out.
Oh my gosh. You want to do that one first or the ADHD one?
Whatever.
Okay, we'll do that one first then. Okay, we got this TikTok picture in picture.
This fucking guy.
This fucking. Okay, hold on. Actually, you know what? Let me change this camera to this one. There we go. Uh-oh, got double Steve in the other one. And picture.
Is that
picture,
behind me or is that my hair sticking out?
Okay. Start recording. Let me just wait till they go upstairs.
All right.
Never leaked water out of yourself, which is so weird because you're 70% water.
Well, what do you mean? What's blood?
Blood is not from the cell, right? So you'll have blood, which is a liquid state, but it's outside of the cell. We can do huge surgeries with almost no bleeding. And so you're cutting through massive amounts of tissue. Heart surgery is just so dramatic. And there is no leak. There's no water there because it's not a liquid state. It's actually in this fourth phase of water, which looks like a dense jello. And what it is, miraculously, is a crystalline structure of that H2O. And that crystalline structure lines up along the DNA of the strand of the virus or the human DNA that you received from mom and dad to create an antenna system. And so the vibration of water around the double helix of the completed human DNA creates a vibrational antenna. And now when you hit that with light energy, it vibrates at a very specific frequency. And I believe that what gives you the ability to wake up every day thinking you're Aubrey and not me is not actually a cognitive process. It's actually a vibrational event where you always know. And if somebody came along and said, your name's not actually Aubrey, your parents lied to you, your name's Phil, that's no problem for you because you say, all right, I'm actually Phil, but you haven't lost track of who you are at that biological level because you're still the same frequency of resonance.
Right.
So it's not.
That's probably enough.
That's more
right?
than enough, yeah.
I'll cut down. It's crazy. I forgot how crazy it was. All right, we're rolling.
So there's a lot to unpack there. That was a big heap of nonsense right there. But let's start with this premise that when you cut yourself, water doesn't come out. Why does that? How come water doesn't pour out of an opening as if we're like a bag of water? First, he discounts blood, which is mostly water, right? That doesn't count because it's outside the cell. So he kind of answers his own question there without realizing it. So why doesn't water inside cells leak out when you cut yourself? Well, because it's bound up inside the cell, right? The water's not loose in you, it's in cells. It's in this matrix, this structure. The water itself is liquid, right? It doesn't have to be a crystalline structure, whatever made up crap that he says after that. The water is just inside of a cell of cells, of membranes. It's bound up. But does water leak out of the cells? Yeah, it does. The people do have edema, for example, and they might actually leak water through their skin. I've seen it. I'm a physician. I've seen this all the time. People do leak water out of themselves when the lymph is basically the fluid outside the cells. It gets drained. There's a lymphatic system, right? And if that gets backed up, then the water could start to ooze out, of the tissue. And so, yeah, that does happen actually. And the other thing is, if water were coming out, like obviously you're probably disrupting some cells, and so there may be some water coming out when you do have an injury, like a cut. How would you know? It just mix in with the blood, right? Then he goes on to say, for some bizarre reason, that like you could do major surgery without people bleeding. Did he mean leak water there? But because people bleed a lot when they do surgery, a lot. Again, has he ever scrubbed in on a surgery? I think probably not, this guy. You have to cauterize your way all the way through the surgery. You're constantly controlling the bleeding. You're sucking up the blood. You're capturing it so you can give it back to the patient. You give transfusions to the patient because there's a lot of bleeding that happens during surgeries. Water doesn't leak out for the same reason, because it's bound up in the tissue, in the cells of the tissue. Now, everything else he said is just made up New Age nonsense about frequencies and the DNA and the light. That's just gobbledygook, pseudoscientific jargon that he's just making up. It's not really even that original. It's like, oh, we have vibrational frequencies. That's pretty much par for the course. Again, New Age nonsense. You could pretty much ignore everything else he says after that point.
Very good. Okay. Water, blood. Okay.
Yes, the Matrix is real.
In math, matrices.
Yes, there are matrices.
All right.
Context is important.
All right, let's move on to this guy.
Now, this fucking guy.
Everybody's a fucking guy. Okay, here we go. Let's start recording.
Dr. Trivedi, do you think that most people with ADD or ADHD have a restricted airway?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of simple if you think about it. ADD, ADHD are neurodivergent disorders. Somewhere in development, early between 0 to maybe 12, if you're not getting the adequate amount of oxygen, your neurological system's not going to develop to its ideal. Most of these people, when you look at a restricted airway, what is that? A reduction in oxygen. So when patients come to me and they tell me they have ADD, first thing I do is look at the airway, and 9 out of 10 times, it's restricted.
So is there...
That's probably good.
Yeah, it's good enough.
All right, we're rolling.
So this guy is a dentist, and he doesn't know what he's talking about beyond that, apparently. He is taking science, looking at correlations between respiratory issues and ADHD, and he doesn't, clearly, in my opinion, doesn't know how to interpret this data, looking, I think, just for an excuse to sell whatever it is he's selling. Now, there is a pretty mild correlation, just a correlation between restrictive airway disease, like asthma, for example, and ADHD. But it's not, that significant. The most recent study that I looked at, which looked at a large cohort of people to try to nail down this number. Different studies show different things, but the large study that I saw recently showed that the correlation is maybe 1.17, versus 1, just a slight excess of ADHD among people with asthma and a slight excess of asthma among people with ADHD. That was, again, specifically looking at asthma. But there are studies which do show that there may be a correlation between the kind of restrictive airway disease that can lower your oxygen and ADHD. But the thing is, we don't know what the cause is, right? These are correlational studies only. You cannot assume cause and effect. Or any specific cause and effect. It's possible, and it is currently being researched, that there's a genetic linkage because both asthma and ADHD are genetic, right? ADHD is mostly a genetic disorder. Then, if any two genetic things are correlated, it's possible that there's some genetic linkage going on, right? That the genes are close to each other, therefore they tend to sort with each other, and therefore there'll be a higher rate. It's also possible that that's not the case. So that hasn't been proven or disproven yet, but that's definitely a plausible hypothesis. But it's also possible that if you have asthma, for example, if you have respiratory disease, that may exacerbate the symptoms of ADHD, therefore making it more likely to be diagnosed. It's not causing the ADHD, it's just making it present more. Again, that would explain this sort of mild correlation between the two things. But there is no evidence to show that restrictive airway disease causes ADHD. It is a significant cause of ADHD, or that 9 out of 10 people with ADHD have restrictive airway disease. That's just nonsense. That is not what the data shows at all. And even if there is this moderate correlation there, we don't know what the causation is. That is still being researched. And it's not obvious. It's not simple when you think about it. ADHD is actually a fairly complicated disorder, complicated genetically and neurologically, et cetera. It's not simple to think, it's low oxygen. Therefore, you have low oxygen, you're going to have ADHD. Of course, low oxygen gets blamed on a lot of things. Why it causes one thing versus something else in different people is never explained. Also, it's important to realize that if your lungs are healthy, you're going to get enough oxygen in there. Oxygen doesn't require you to move a lot of air. We breathe mainly to blow off CO2. You just need to have air in your lungs and it will exchange oxygen quite well. So you have to have a pretty significant level of airway restriction before you start to actually lower your oxygen tension, the amount of oxygen getting into your blood, as opposed to just being able to blow off enough CO2. So we're not talking about just somebody who has airway restriction and doesn't know it. They just have a slight deviated septum or something. That's not going to cause ADHD. So this guy's basically talking out his ass. He doesn't know what he's talking about in terms of the neuroscience or the medical aspects of this. And no, restrictive airways is not a major cause of ADHD.
Alrighty. Very good. ADHD. Save that one. Any questions from the chat before we skedaddle? Because I think that's it.
I think that's it. Those three. We're three and done. I gotta go. I have a doctor's appointment.
Okay,
myself.
Doctor's appointment. So we gotta go.
So we're gonna call it.
Friday maybe.
We'll do a Friday. Yeah, but I think we're scheduled for a Friday live stream. The show comes out on Saturday. You will hear more about the FDA's banning of red dye number 3. There is a very interesting story behind that. Ooh. Again, it's a terrible precedent. Just the red dye number 3, who cares? But it's the precedent that it sets that is very chilling.
Do you think they're also slightly moving towards the EU standards?
That's not the issue. That's not the issue. This is not one of those drugs that it's like banned in the EU and not in the United States.
Okay.
This is actually approved in many countries.
Yeah, so there you go.
And again, the EU, they have all their own dyes. You know what I mean? Like they have stuff that we don't have. We have stuff they don't have. It's irrelevant. Like it's not like
red herring kind of
thing. Yeah, it's a complete red herring.
Yeah.
It's a red dye number 3 herring.
Excellent. Doctor's appointment for now. Yes. That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you again.
Bye.
Hear the ending music. Bye-bye.